Hi, in this chapter we will discuss about AWS organization. So AWS organization is an account management service that enables you to consolidate multiple AWS account into a organization that you can create and centrally manage. So AWS organization is nothing but a entity that is used to control and manage your AWS accounts. In order to understand this, let's see this diagram. So here you can see we have three levels in AWS. The first one is AWS resource. So here we are going to deploy our workloads such as virtual machines or database or storage or etc or any other services. So this is called as AWS resources. And then we have AWS account. So AWS account, it is nothing but a logical container to host these resources. For example, let's say if you wanted to create a virtual machine, you need to have a AWS account. Without that, it is not possible. So it is technically a logical container to hold your resources. And then we have something called organization unit that we are going to explain now. So in order to understand the concept of organization unit, let's take an example of the AWS account. For example, we have a AWS account for our production workload. So you created a AWS account to host all the production services. So inside this account, you will create your virtual machines, you will create your database, you will create your storage, etc. Similarly, you may have non-prod account. So here also you will create your VMs, you will create your DB, or you will create any other resources. So this list may increase. So maybe you have some other account which is test and development account where you will have similar set of resources. Now you have a team to manage your production workload. You may have your team to manage your non-prod separately and test and development as well. So the challenge with this is this team will only manage this particular production workload, and the non-prod will do the same, as well as test and development will do the same. So imagine a scenario where you wanted to centrally control all the workloads or all the accounts. So for example, let's say you may have a requirement here in the production saying that no public IPs are allowed. For example, let's say in the non-prod account, you may have a requirement that no workload should be deployed apart from Mumbai region. So in the test and development, you may have some other requirement saying that no specific VM SKU. For example, let's say you wanted to deploy 4 GB RAM and 2 vCPU VMs only in this particular account, nothing else is allowed. So you know to put so you wanted to apply such conditions or policies to the accounts to achieve or to meet your baseline compliance, for example. So in this scenario, let's say you applied the policy here, and also you applied a policy here. Same goes with the policy here as well. However, the administrator who is managing this, he'll have access to modify these policies, and he can bypass the policy. He can deploy the workloads which is not supposed to do. Similarly goes here and as well as here. So this is against the compliance of the company, and do not have a central control to protect all these things. This is one point. And second point, which is related to billing. So here in the production you will get a separate bill. The non-prod also will have a separate bill. Test and development will have a separate bill. Although there is no centralized you know billing system to manage your account billings. So in order to avoid all those things, in order to control centrally, and in order to control the billing also centrally, AWS come up with a concept called AWS organization. So you're going to put everything into the organization. So organization is a single entity, so where you can put your accounts inside that, and then you can apply the policies, and also you can do access management from here. So now let's imagine you have a production workload. So this is your production account, and then you have a non-prod account, and then you have a test and development account. Now what you are going to do is you will create an organization unit which is prod OU, this is non-prod OU, and this is test and development OU. So you will put this account inside this OU. Similarly goes here as well as it will go here. All the policy related to prod you will apply to this particular OU. Similarly, you will apply to non-prod, and also you will apply to this as well. So now, even though if you have multiple accounts, still you can add here under production, you can add n number of accounts, and you can apply the policy here, and I can centrally control everything. Similarly here, you can add n number of accounts. Same goes to this one. So now you can manage all your production accounts from this management, from this OU. Similarly, you can manage centrally all the non-prod accounts from this non-prod OU. Same goes with the test and development. So now, in order to control these OUs centrally, there is something called root OU. So in AWS, when you create your organization unit for the first time, it comes with a root management or root OU. So for example, let's say you are new to AWS, you just created a new AWS account, so and you wanted to create a management, you wanted to create a organization unit. So if you click on the new, so if you create a new organization unit, by default you will get root management root OU. So then you can create multiple OUs as per your requirement, and then all the newly created OUs which will come under this. So by default, the first account which you created will be comes under this. This is the first account which is tagged to your default root OU. Then maybe you can move this from here to any other over here. So this is how the organization unit works. So by default, you will have a root OU, and then you can create multiple OUs, and inside this multiple OU you will have your accounts. So inside this account you will have your resources. So this is the hierarchy: OU, and then you have accounts, and then you have resources. So now if you wanted to control centrally, you can apply policies here so that it will apply to everything irrespective of production, non-prod, or test and development. So you have to be very careful while applying policies to the root level. So you have to carefully select the policies which is required at the top level. Otherwise, for example, let's say if you want to apply policies which is only limited to production, you apply on the production OU, and same with the test and development, so that others won't be impacted with your policies. So this is how you will centrally manage and control your resources using AWS management, AWS organization unit. And also one important note, you can centrally manage the billing as well from the organization unit. So you no need to pay individually for each accounts. So all the amount will get accumulated on the OU level. So based on that, you can manage your billing as well.